Good morning, good evening, and a good afternoon. Trader Steve here at Logic FX Trading, and welcome to our trading room summary on Thursday, the 28th of May, 2020. Okay, guys, listen, yesterday I said that I've kind of given up in the short term on looking for a correction on the markets. A lot of good news out there, a lot of positive news, a lot of positive sentiment. Markets are moving away from the underlying economies. At some point, there probably will be a correction. You'd imagine there would be a correction. But the idea of trying to time it is, well, from back here somewhere, I was looking for a drawdown, guys, and you end up you miss the trend. So what I've kind of thought is we'll trade trend, and whenever whatever it's going to trigger the next move down happens, then at that point, obviously, um, we'll take a small hit from a point of view of either you hit your stop loss, hopefully it'll be on zero at that time, or you will have already taken some profits and you'll not be hit at all by it. Um, Listen, at the moment, there's a bit of problem with the Chinese economy, the same as everyone else, but they're now undergoing this situation where there's a bit of a backlash against them from the rest of the world because of how they disseminated the information about the severity of COVID-19. On top of that, they're legislating against Hong Kong, which clearly the US and the rest of the democracies in the world aren't too happy about. So just as quickly as they're legislating to change things in Hong Kong, the US is putting sanctions on, legislating to put sanctions on China. So I don't know if this is going to happen. There are better possible trades than that, but we'll leave that in. We'll see what happens, guys. Aussie 200. We said it would continue to push on up. We're getting a bit of what looks like an ending diagonal in there, guys. Let me just zoom in a little bit on it. Looks like an ending diagonal. We were looking for a bit of a pullback to give us a setup to maybe go long on it. So doesn't mean it can't push on up, guys, but the higher probability would be from here if it pulled back, something like this. We got a bit of a move down into here. Often when you get an ending diagonal, you get a 50% retracement off it before you get it moving on. So I would wait for the retracement there. Nikkei's pushing on up yet again because of the $1.1 trillion stimulus package that the Japanese just announced earlier in the week. That's the reason for that push up. Yet again, you're going to have to wait for a pullback. Doesn't mean it's going to pull back, but if it does pull back, that's when you would look to trade it, unless you're already in it, of course. Same with Germany. The EU stimulus package that's been announced is clearly helping push that up. But yet again, you need a pullback before trying to push into that or get into that. Same with the French. French has now come up to a double top situation. There's an A and a B there, guys. I'm not convinced by them, though. I'm not convinced by them. This is possibly some... well, let's not worry too much about what that is. That's not as impulsive as what the S&P and the Dow Jones was. And therefore, I'm not overly convinced that is going to put in a C wave. But if it did give us a bit of a pullback into... I've moved this trend line, guys, from there. In case this turns out to be an impulsive move, then if you get a fourth wave in here, then the fifth wave may well be worth trading. But you have to wait for the pullback. UK as well, it's continuing to push on up. And as you can see there, still looking for a pullback. It's broken that top and it's moving on up. UK coming out of lockdown, that's the reason that's happening. Nasdaq's the only one I'm a little bit confused about. It hasn't quite reached previous highs, although the recovery rate has just been completely and utterly astounding is the word that we would look for. Um, Everyone said we wouldn't get a V-shaped recovery, and that's exactly what we've got. Um, yeah, what I've put in here is a sideways movement. It's come up that far, and within a sort of range of where it is at the moment and the top. Say in there, I suspect we'll maybe get a bit of sideways movement for a while. But what I would do is I'll wait for a dip and then try and trade it long, unless the news has changed by that stage, guys. If there's some big problem coming in the world that a second wave or the China US thing blows up, then obviously you'd get a big move down. But I'm not expecting that at the moment. So just look to trade this long when you get your opportunities to do so. The same with this. We did say yesterday this would push on up. It has pushed on up. S&P 500. Yet again, you're going to have to look for some sort of pullback that will then give you. Oops, let me redo that. Which will then give you a trend over here, guys. Maybe it runs something like that. It could come deeper, but what I would do is trade it up from wherever it decides to go. And the Dow Jones, same thing as the S&P, guys, pushing up at the moment, but you'd have to look for a pullback. Remember, when you're looking for these things, I usually put a little L in there. It's just what you're looking for. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But if you're not in the trade, then you need to get the pullback in order to get your entry, guys. That's the reason that we put these in. This could easily push on up today, but you don't know that that's going to happen, and it's certainly not necessarily going to happen with a high degree of probability. That's why you don't try and trade there, unless you're already in it from, say, there, and you want to stay in it, and put your stop to zero and let it continue on up if that's what it's going to do. But if you're not in it, you need to wait for your setup to get into it. As far as the dollar's concerned, it's at the bottom of its little range that it's been in for a while, guys. This little range between here and here, which is what we said would happen when it came off. When was that? March, April, we're into May, 6 weeks ago. I said back then that it would probably go sideways. That's exactly what it's done. The next move for the dollar, unless there's something dramatic that happens, the next move for the dollar will be down. I just don't know if this is the time that it's going to go. I'd prefer to see a push back up and then maybe a bit more of an impulsive move down. This certainly isn't impulsive. So this could possibly come back up there. Then we'll look to see if the next move down is the move. But I'd certainly be looking to trade the dollar short after we find out what's going on here. It could continue to drop here. Then we'll say, okay, well, it's broken out of that horizontal move, and then you look for a pullback and trade it down from there. But if it pushes up here, then I'd look to trade it down from there, folks. I'm not looking to trade it up because I don't know that it's going to do that. And therefore, in all of your major pairs, you're going to have to wait to see what happens. Either they're going to push on up like that, and if you're in them, then fantastic. If you're not in them, then you've got to wait to see if the dollar pulls back, and then from there you try and trade long. And the pound, leave the pound alone at the minute, guys. Brexit's coming back on the table. There's no progress in the negotiations, and the UK said that we're leaving at the end of the year, whether there's a deal done or not. End of story. So there could be rough times coming in for the pound. I don't want to predict them, and therefore I'm not going to say trade it down. But at the moment, I'd just be neutral on it, guys. Aussie, well, the trend's long, guys. It's going to stay long, but you're going to have a pullback to get into it. New Zealand, same thing. The trend's long. You're going to have to get a pullback. The CAD, a little bit different because of the oil situation. But yet again, if the dollar were to pull up into this situation, I'd look to trade that back down, but I wouldn't try and trade it up. Oil's pushed up and up and up. It's got into the $35 area, guys. I'm looking for a pullback. I'm not looking to trade it down, but if it comes down, then potentially you can trade it up. Probably back to the previous high. There is no reason at the minute to try and trade it up there. So either leave it alone or, leave it alone. and wait for it to pull back down, guys. And then when it starts to go long again, because ultimately it will go long. So let it drop and then trade it long, because you might be lucky and catch the way out. If it comes back down again, trade it long, because you might be lucky and it'll break out. That'll do us for today, I think, guys. The other thing that we were looking at for the whole of the week was short trades on the Swiss, obviously, because it's in the that's the base, that's the quote. Because it's on the quote side here, that means you're looking to trade these long. Looking to trade that long, not the CAD. The yen, looking to trade it short. Short the yen, but long in this configuration. CAD yen, looking to trade it long, but yet again, you're looking for a setup. Okay, guys, that'll do us for today. I'll speak to you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.